Welcome back to the Friday Club, our fortnightly publication for school marketing and admissions teams. This is our interview feature, Break Time With, and this week our guest is Rachell Fox, Director of Communications, Marketing and Development at Channing School. Rachell, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
We're really pleased to have you on the show with us. So what I know of Channing School is that it's an independent day school for girls aged between 4 and 18, and your motto is girls enjoying success. Before we dive in, can you tell us a little bit more about your role at Channing School, please?
Yes, no problem at all. So my role is a new role that was created in September of last year, essentially. That's when I started. And it brings together lots of different areas within the school. So I look after admissions, communications, marketing, alumni relations and development. So I sort of describe it sometimes probably quite unflatteringly as cradle to grave, essentially. But in terms of that relationship with students before they become students of ours, all the way through to when they are alumni. So that whole journey of being a Channing girl, essentially.
And you bring lots of experience from other industries to this current role. Can you talk to us a bit about your experience of communications and marketing elsewhere and why it's useful for you now?
Absolutely. I spent quite a lot of my career in the media, in commercial radio, and then at the BBC. I was head of marketing for Radio 2, 6 Music and 5 Live, and then for the Switchover Help Scheme, which helped older and disabled people switch to digital TV. And from there, I worked in the third sector for a fair bit, so for Sue Ryder and for the British Red Cross. Amongst others, I did a bit of consultancy, and I worked for some public sector and some private clients as well. So a real range, you know, from further education to insurance, broadcasting. I think that some of the things that you learn as you go through your career are, I know there's a cliche talking about transferable skills, but essentially marketing and communications is about people, and people don't change and the core of who they are, whether you're talking to them about insurance or you're talking to them about their TV or you're talking to them about the education of their children. You know, the values, the core behaviours, the mindset is pretty much the same, and the principles are the same. So understanding your audience, understanding the barriers and the triggers for engagement, the way that you might talk to them about something that will connect or resonate, those principles, I think, of communication and of marketing are the same, irrespective of the sector. So I think probably what has been most useful coming into the education sector, which was about 5 years ago, is bringing those core principles of the customer being at the centre of everything that you do. And the minute you start an organisation as a marketeer, you have to completely assume that you know absolutely nothing, because you've now gone native, you've drunk the Kool-Aid, you're seeing it from the inside out. And trying to remember and hold on to that feeling of what it looks like from the outside in, and the things that are important to the people you're trying to talk to, is really, really key. It's very easy to decide that things are incredibly important when actually most people from one day to the next couldn't care less about what you do or what you have to say. And you have to think about what's important to them and what do they need to know, and how can you do that in a engaging way that will connect and draw them in. So I think those principles are the same everywhere. It helps to have experience of working in different size organisations, and somewhere they're very marketing led, so there's a sort of buy-in immediately. Others where you're constantly having to explain why you should have a marketing and communications department at all, and the science that goes into the job as well. So you know, it's not always about sprinkling fairy dust on things. There's some really core fundamental principles that go into the role, and finding ways to communicate that with colleagues who don't have that background is really important as well. because we can all get lost in our own industry jargon if we're not careful. So I think it's really important to talk like a human being as much as possible.
Definitely, definitely. One of the things that I was really looking forward to talking to you about today was that Channing School offers a single-sex education. You're a girls' school. And I don't believe we've ever had someone on the Friday Club who's talked about that aspect of independent education. What do you find is the best way to communicate the benefits of a single-sex education to families?
Well, sometimes you're preaching to the converted, so that's always a lovely place to be. But I think we are incredibly passionate about an all-girls education. And I personally am very passionate about it. I've got 2 daughters and they've both been in single-sex education from the age of 4. And that is because to be in an environment that's completely free of stereotype, where all the leadership roles are available to girls, where there are no girls subjects and boys subjects, I think sets them up really well for success in the future. And you see the evidence, it's not just me, the evidence is that girls who go through an all-girls education perform better academically, come out with more resilience, more self-confidence, a greater sense of self. So I think that's really important. When you look at the evidence, interestingly, girls do better in single-sex, boys tend to do better in co-ed environments. Make of that what you will. But I think from our point of view, for girls to understand that they can do anything, and whether that's physics or art is completely divorced from their gender. And the fact that all of the leadership roles go to girls means that they know that they are able to do absolutely everything. So we talk about that with prospective parents quite a lot, but I think we also have to be careful not to give the impression that we're anti-boys, because we're not, absolutely. And we do work, we have partnership work with co-ed and with single-sex boys schools as well. And in fact, we've got a partnership with St Aloysius, who are an all-boys Catholic school around the corner from us. They come over for debating club. They came over for our higher education day as well. Our girls will go over there for DT club. So it's a very mutually beneficial relationship, because we don't want girls to think boys are aliens. And some of them will have male siblings, so they will be exposed to that environment. They'll know boys, they'll have that through their social circle. Some of them will only have female siblings, so maybe the opportunity isn't as broad for them. So it's really important that we do things together. And we do that very early on. So we do that in the junior school, but we also do it in year 7 and year 8, where our school disco is open to other local schools. So we find social and academic ways for our girls to mix with members of the opposite sex, but we know for us that educational benefit of being in an all-girls school is priceless.
Absolutely. And it sounds super positive how you're talking about it. I think, yeah, I can definitely see the benefits of it. Your school is situated in quite a competitive area in North London. How do you go about finding the right families in that climate, in that area?
I mean, I think North London parents are really have an embarrassment of riches, actually, in terms of schools that they can choose between. And that's not just the independent sector. There are some really strong state and grammar schools as well. So if we think about our kind of competitive set, it's beyond the independent sector. And I think that a lot of, particularly in the independent schools, will all offer the same things. You know, the academic excellence is to be expected, a rich extracurricular program, excellent pastoral care, amazing facilities. So all of those schools will offer variations on all of that. So actually, I think what it comes down to at its core is the ethos of a school, and whether you can see your child flourishing at that school. And that's why we think it's really important for people to come and visit. And we welcome as many visitors as we possibly can for that reason. And also why we interview every single girl as well. So irrespective of their scores on the assessment day, we also interview everyone, because we know that for a girl to find the right fit and for Channing to be the right school, it's not just about their performance in that exam on that one day, it's the whole person, and we don't want to miss a hidden gem. So I think understanding the ethos of the school, Channing is built on Unitarian foundations. So that means that inclusivity, tolerance, respect, kindness are woven into the fabric of the school. And sometimes people say we focus too much on the pastoral side of things, but we believe that happy girls learn best. And so that's as important as the academic side. So I think you need to go and visit a school, you need to see if your ethos and your family values accord with those of the school as well, and look at the students. Are they engaged? Are they happy? What are other parents telling you about the school? Word of mouth is a really, really powerful tool. And it's one that North London parents wield on a regular basis. And quite rightly so. You know, it's a big decision, it's an important one. So I think it's quite nuanced, actually, the difference between the different schools. And the only way to really understand that is to read what they say on the website, have a look at their communications materials, go and visit the school and see if what you see in action is what they're saying about themselves.
Amazing. And one of the things that I've seen in your communication strategy is the Chatting with Channing podcasts, and I've listened to a couple on your website. It makes sense with your background in broadcasting that you've really embraced this type of media. What sort of content have you found is most engaging for both current families or prospective families?
It's really interesting, actually, what people will find of interest. And also, the thing that I really like about podcasting is that the content is a grower. So it's there in perpetuity. And so we're finding, so we're 6 episodes in now to our programme, and we're finding people are still listening to the first episode, the second episode, and so on. So people find podcasts in their own time. And so it's important that you try and make that content as evergreen as possible as well, so that if people come to it later, it's still valuable. And I mean, so far we've covered, obviously, you know, introduction to Lindsay Hughes, our headmistress, and to Dina Hammerlis in the junior school. So talking about what makes Channing special, what we think makes Channing special. We've talked to our charity officers, because that's a really important part of who we are, what we do, our teaching and learning. We interview alumni. We have provided UCAS advice. We've talked about our careers advice, you know, so, and different people will find different parts of that interesting. So prospective parents will probably want to hear, what does the new headmistress think? What's she like? What's going on there? Current parents with students coming through into sort of key stage 4 and 5 will be thinking, oh, what do you do for careers? What do you do for UCAS? So it's a real range of interests, and we're still sort of testing and learning. You know, we started doing it as a sort of proof of concept. Can we sustain this? Do we have enough material for a double album? You know, what's that going to feel like? Can we, not only can we maintain it, but can we maintain the enthusiasm within the school? And actually what we're finding is it's working really well. So far we haven't had anybody say they won't come and do one. We've had people volunteering to do them, which is great. So, and I think, I mean, I would say to any school thinking about podcasting, you know, depending on which research you read, there are between 16 and 21 million people listening to podcasts in the UK. And about a third of them are 35 to 54, which is right slap bang in the target demographic. So why wouldn't you, would be my question, actually.
I think that for lots of schools, podcasting might be something very new for them. And in terms of the mechanics, the logistics of setting something up, where can they get started?
So a lot will depend on what resource they have in-house and also what budgets they have. So it is something you can do on your own. It's also something you can work with an external agency with. So we've worked with, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, we've worked with Bonjour Agency on that. Since all my years at the BBC, can I mention a commercial enterprise?
Absolutely. No, Simon's been one of our guests in the past. So He'll
So we
love
worked
that you
with
mentioned him.
Simon on that, and we did a kind of, we'd like to dip our toe in the water, and that was really helpful for us because they take some of the strain in terms of publishing and helping us with that side of things. But my marketing manager, bought the right microphone on their advice. We use their interviewers, we write the questions, and we do it collaboratively, and that's worked really well for us. So we're controlling, we have the editorial control over everything and the direction of travel, but we have kind of a safety net, if you like, working with Bonjour, who've done it loads of times before and can do the sort of back office bit for us, which is great. So that's worked really well for us. That's been a really good relationship, and we're going to carry that on for another year at least.
Amazing.
Yeah. But I think, for some schools who maybe can't work with an agency, you do need to get a good piece of kit. You do need a good microphone, because I've listened to recordings that people have done on their mobile phone, and you can, and maybe that is my broadcast background. I can't bear really bad audio quality. So I think for something to be something that you'll listen to for 20 minutes and that you will stick with and that you might come back to for another episode, I think the production values do need to be a sort of minimum standard. So I would say invest in a microphone if you can do nothing else. Get that bit right.
Great, thank you. And then lastly, one of the topics that we hear about on the Friday Club fairly frequently is the increasing awareness of good marketing, good customer experience, and the importance of that for independent schools. And I know that you sit on the senior leadership team for Channing, and that isn't yet the default for all school marketing directors. Are you able to talk, Rachell, about the benefits you found of being part of the SLT for your school and your marketing and admissions processes?
Absolutely. I mean, I consider myself to be very blessed that I have a headmistress who understands marketing and communications, in fact started, I think, her career in communications, so understands the importance and the value of it and is very supportive, and a governing body who are very supportive as well of that. So we also have a marketing committee as part of our governance structure, which you don't always see in the schools. So I think I came into an organisation that understood the value that marketing and comms can add. So that's really helpful. I think the other thing that's really helpful as being part of SLT is that you get to see the picture of everything that's going on at the school and all the stresses and strains and all the successes and all the struggles, and you can be a much more supportive and collegiate member of the team when you're aware of all of that. And also you get to hear about the really great stuff that's going to happen a bit further in advance. And you can influence, and you can say, well, I can see how we might do this slightly differently and make it even better, or how can I add some value and work with you on that to make your life a bit easier. So I think that's been really a fantastic part of the relationship here. And I do feel for colleagues who are not on the SLT and are constantly having to influence upwards in their job, that sometimes you feel like a child with your nose pressed against a glass outside a sweet shop going, let me in, I know about these sweets, I can tell you the good ones, So I think you'd always have to influence, you always have to work alongside people, but actually coming in as a member of the SLT means that you start with a level of acceptance within an organisation and can get things done faster sometimes than if you're having to spend a lot of time investing in why this is a good idea, why we should do it that way. So I think, and if you look outside of the education sector, actually, the most successful commercial organisations have marketing represented at board level. So there's a reason why they're successful. So I think that that's something that the education sector will increasingly want to do, actually.
Definitely. Rachell, I've really enjoyed talking to you today. It's been really insightful, and I know this will be super useful for all of the subscribers to the Friday Club who are listening. So I just want to say a massive thank you for coming on, sharing your time with us, and more importantly, sharing your expertise with us. It's really appreciated.
It's an absolute pleasure. And I would say to anybody watching, if they wanted to get in touch and talk about things. Sometimes working in schools, you can be the only person in your role or in your level, can feel a bit lonely. It's really nice to be able to network with other people. So if anybody wants to get in touch and just have a chat about things, or have another person to bounce ideas off, I'm very, very happy to have those conversations.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. We hope to talk to you again soon. And thank you again.
Thank you.